on, because at the end of the day, as much as therapists, we somehow seem to somehow give people a solution. The core of it is that we must be able to assist the person to continue with life without the therapist.
Look, Wanda, let's start with some of the pressing issues, which is identifying that I need to go to therapy in the first place.
Yeah.
Because in our African households, you're sort of told, just deal with it. And whatever you're going through, just deal with it. Let's talk about some practical steps that we can take in identifying that, yes, I need therapy. And what then do I do to start the process of healing, approaching therapists and starting those engagements with my family so that I don't feel like I will be, laughed at, because these are real things. We talk about it now and it sounds great, go to therapy, but in practice, it's a different ballgame. So how do we go about starting that initial conversation that I actually need help?
Okay, thank you for that question. So, signs, maybe we can call them signs that will help you identify that, okay, you know what, we need to involve a therapist. For instance, with couples, when you get to a point where you're never agreeing, there's just this place where you're always seeing different things at different times. You're not understanding each other's languages as you speak. Somehow you don't get to understand and get the gist of the other person. And maybe in bigger groups, like bigger families, where you're finding that there's a lot of conflict, there's a lot of emotional distancing from each other. That is a sign that we need to involve somebody else, because clearly on our own, we are struggling. We are never getting to the point. We're never getting to hearing individuals also, because that's another thing. As much as we are families, we were in big groups, but we also need to attend to the individual, because at the end of the day, it is the individual that's going to be part of or form the group. Okay, so those are signs that you need to attend, or see a therapist. But then there are also other obvious issues. For instance, when you have experienced trauma, when you maybe also sometimes moving from your comfort zone or comfort space and moving to a place where you don't necessarily are accustomed to it, so maybe you may need to see a therapist to just get you in the zone and get you to be comfortable in the new environment where you are. And then the communicating. So I understand most of the time we find that there is not much of communicating, and because already the subject itself of a therapist is not one that would commonly just pop up within our Black families. So it's you would then need to find somebody. There can always be that one person that you're comfortable with within the family. If you're a couple, it's a bit difficult. You just need to straightforward talk to your person, as much as it may be difficult at that point. But basically, just to bring the subject up, to say we've struggled with this. I think you can also agree this is what we are we're struggling with. We are not getting to the end of it. Can we bring a third party to it? Can we see a therapist with the family, a bigger group? Find that person that you're comfortable with, that person that has your back, and then it will be then upon yourself, or maybe with the person that is supporting you, to say, okay, let's find a suitable therapist. Let's find the therapist that is going to attend directly to the matter that you are struggling with.
Okay, I'd like to throw a scenario in your direction. because, our families are definitely set up differently to how the Westerns are.
Yes.
So if I grew up in a family, for example, where there were 9 of us,
yes,
in the same household, that was probably not a big enough environment to house all of us. Perhaps it was even a blended family situation, where our parents blended families and didn't really discuss it, properly with us. And we just, these children that just grew up in these settings. So with that scenario in consideration, what approach do you then take when working with African families in therapy? And how do your methods and your methodology, how does it differ to the more conventional model of therapy?
Okay, thank you, Mmatsheko, for that one. So with bigger groups, so for instance, definitely you're going to start with the group itself, to kind of understand, be part of that group, to kind of get to understand the environment, to understand what is it that makes them who they are, and then now what is it that is kind of creating the cracks and all of that. But then also you're going to need to, well, what I do, the way I practice is that I will then separate the group, so that I find find each individual and understand where they stand. So that's where you're going to understand then, or get to see all the dynamics and also the struggles that they are struggling with, because in the group you find that there are individuals that actually disappear, if I can say it like that, and you never get to understand or get to hear or see what they are exactly going through. So they need their space, but also they need their time. So I the first thing definitely would to be part of the group. Some therapists don't necessarily do home visits. I do believe in home visits because it allows that the people remain in their comfortable environment. I may be maybe the only, strange thing that has happened to their environment, but they remain comfortable, and it then gives you as a therapist the picture that you really need to see, and you also understanding the environment that they are coming from, and like I said, what makes them who they are, and then then at that, after I have been able to experience them as a group, then I get a chance to separate them, and get to understand per individual.
We've now gone through the therapy sessions. We're coming to you on a regular basis. We're working on our issues. How do I know if I'm done now? I'm okay. I don't need therapy anymore. Do you ever get to that stage? Do patients ever get to that stage where they're like, you know what, I'm done now? And you as a therapist then say, you know what, you can now go and do your own thing. I've given you the tools.
I like the way you're asking it, Tebogo, actually, because now I think that's where we need to correct certain things. So therapy is different from it's different. Like, you're not sick, you are not unwell when you're going to see a therapist. Yes, there are extreme cases where you find that you're now suffering from, depression and other disorders, but you don't need to wait for that time. So basically, when you see a therapist, you're just basically saying, okay, wait, I'm realizing I'm overwhelmed, or I'm realizing there's just too much, my head is all over the place. I need to regroup. I need to bring my things back, in line. That's when you see a therapist. And then once you've been seeing a therapist, and also the therapist is also engaging you, helping you to get through and giving you those exercises, you're going back home, you are working on, what the therapist recommended. So basically, the recommendations are nothing, especially for the work that I do, it's nothing out of the ordinary. It's things that are part of your already life. So what is going on in your life? So it's not necessarily being expected to go out of your way to do other things. So in the daily activities that you were doing all along, it's just that now there are different ways, or there are methods that the therapist has recommended that you use. So once you are able, for instance, let's make the example again of a couple who were not able to get to the end of their conflict, where they could not settle any issue. Now they have somehow gained the tools, maybe the communication tools. Now they understand that for us to actually reach the end of this, or to be able to actually get to hear each other and understand each other and get to agree on something, we will need to exercise these. This is the first step, second step, and all of that. Then once they are able to actually both, put into practice what they have been learning or what they've been practicing, then that's a sign that, okay, they don't need to see a therapist for that same reason anymore. They might get to see the therapist again for something else, but not for that same reason anymore. So that would mean they would need to, they're fine without the therapist. They can continue with their lives and just continue to use the tools that they have just received.
Thank you so much, Nokwanda. This was very valuable. Perhaps as we wrap up the conversation, you can share some practical tips with us on how we can start therapy journeys as a family. Just something brief, how do we start? How do we approach someone like you for assistance if we want to heal within a family dynamic?
All right, thank you. So basically, let's make it a culture. I like to tell my clients that, we come from different backgrounds, definitely. And those backgrounds gave us certain cultures, and that's okay. But once you start as an adult, and once you start to have your own and build your own household, you have your wife, your husband, your children, and maybe other people that you're living with, then you are allowed to create your own culture, because at the end of the day, culture does change, and it has to change to allow us, to grow, because as people, we grow, we change, we evolve. So now make it culture in your household. Talk about this. Make it also a comfortable talk. It shouldn't be when somebody mentions the word therapist and then.
It is now 1 minute before 2 p.m. Central African time. We're talking about therapy management in the African family context. Very important, and great insights there we received from social worker Mrs. Nokwanda. If you'd like to revisit that conversation, go to www.channelafrica.co.za for this podcast and for other podcasts from the show and other shows on Channel Africa. It's 2 p.m. Central African time. Let's get the latest news now with Jolani Tulo Ngwepe.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Tebogo. Top stories. Asawa, Malawi's election campaign period ends this Saturday, and a manhunt continues for the killer of U.S. conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Good afternoon. Malawi's 2025 general election period ends this Saturday. All the 16 presidential hopefuls have since lined up final rallies in major cities to woo 7.2 million registered voters. Front-runners are former President Peter Mutharika of the Democratic Progressive Party, former Reserve Bank Governor Dalito Kambembe, and incumbent President Lazarus Chakwera of the Malawi Congress Party. The campaign is dominated by promises of food security, economic recovery, job creation, and formation of a federal kind of government. George Mhango has the story.
Talk of the public is that rising prices of sugar, bread, and cooking oil, including fertilizer, should be tamed by the next president. Former President Mutharika is the view that he is going to lower inflation to a single digit, while incumbent President Chakwera says programs of food security will be his key policy. Travels to various towns and cities show symbols of various political party campaign materials.
The threat of flooding once again looms over the city of Maiduguri in northeastern Nigeria. This comes a year after torrential rains and the collapse of a dam left entire neighborhoods submerged in water. The Borno state government has provided support to local communities through relief camps, food aid and cash handouts. However, the government has also begun the reconstructing of dam and dike systems at Alu, which initially caused the flooding. The dam, which was built in 1986, has been difficult to maintain due to the Boko Haram Islamist group's insurgency in the area. The chairperson of the South African Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Police has expressed concerns that the lack of capacity within the SAPS in the Western Cape province is hindering efforts to effectively combat the rising crime rates in the province. Ian Cameron says police are unable to carry out their responsibilities due to a lack of resources. His comments come in light of several recent shootings in Cape Town that are suspected to be gang-related. Cameron says with new recruits graduating in coming weeks, they are hopeful that they will see change.
Even if the police had all the will in the world to try and fight this, they simply do not have the capacity. It's physically impossible, and they can try and say otherwise, but I can tell you now that we've just been through the budget process of the police. They literally do not have the capacity, so they cannot do that. When we look at the Western Cape specifically, if we're not going to push to share investigative capacity and to share the burden with regards to investigating serious and violent crime, especially with regards to gang violence, I don't expect the tide to turn. We have to make sure that we broaden investigative capacity and intelligence capacity.
The head of the Health Department in South Africa's Eastern Cape province, Dr. Rolene Wagner, says the province urgently needs a multi-pronged approach to prevent young children dying from acute malnutrition-related complications. The Department of Health appeared in front of the Human Rights Commission to provide an update on the progress made in curbing malnutrition in the Eastern Cape province. The country recorded 573 deaths associated with severe acute malnutrition complications in 2024. KwaZulu-Natal recorded the highest number of deaths, followed by Limpopo and the Eastern Cape province. Dr. Wagner says this crisis is due to socio-economic factors such as high levels of poverty and unemployment.
Often severe acute malnutrition is not the cause, it's an underlying cause. So once we've analysed what the causes are, the other key component is to analyse where it's occurring. Because when you've got limited resources, you want to make sure that you are directing those resources at the right places in order to have the desired impact. So in our department, we've actually focused on active case finding through our community-based outreach teams.
A manhunt is continuing in the U.S. for the killer of one of President Donald Trump's closest allies, Charlie Kirk. The high-profile conservative activist was speaking at a university in Utah yesterday when he was hit in the neck by a single bullet. The killer's identity and motive are not yet known, but Trump has blamed what he calls the radical left for the shooting. David Young is the mayor of Orem City in Utah, where the incident took place.
We don't have this sort of thing here. I can't think of the last time someone was murdered. It just doesn't happen. And so to have, someone like Charlie Kirk, who's obviously a very positive voice, come to our college and have this happen, it's horrific. It's just such a deep, black, evil spot, to deal with. And a lot of our residents are just not okay. It's not who we are. It's not what happens around here.
Recapping the top story this hour, Malawi's 2025 general election campaign period ends this Saturday. For any news stories you would like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I'm Jolani Tulo Webe.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
6 minutes into 2 p.m. in Central African Time. Welcome to the Thursday edition of The Upside. You are now officially an upsider, just in case you didn't know. Welcome to the show and thank you for tuning in. Tebogo, Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko Mosito with you until 4 p.m. in Central African Time. So here we are, just really not just trialing ideas, but really putting them into practice when it comes to the space of art. US-based curator Ashara Ekudayo is going to be joining us in their capacity as curator and founding artist at First Responder. Curator and founder of Artist as First Responder, I beg your pardon. And we're going to be looking at the world of art and how it is evolving into and also incorporating the space of technology and all the intelligence, the artificial intelligence and all of that. So how does art fit into all of that? And we're going to speak to Ashara about that and so much more about the evolution of art. Also, does art need a new voice on the continent? You know, are art fairs the only thing? Are we doing different things? You know, are we moving into more progressive spaces? Are we making art more accessible?
Yes.
You know, what does that look like and what does that mean?
Yes, very exciting, because not too long ago we were having a conversation about a art festival which was taking place in Swartland, or it's going to be taking place in Swartland in the Western Cape, where the exhibitors, the artists will be exhibiting their artwork in vineyards, outside, outdoors, where people can interact with the artists and learn more about, their work. And we are getting to know and learn that when you make art accessible, more and more artists can be produced on the African continent. And when you now incorporate technology where there's a live exhibition, but you're able to access it from home as well, because maybe you live very far away from the actual exhibition hall, but you can now access it, whether you are in Mpumalanga, there in the Eastern Cape, and the exhibition is happening in Gauteng. You can now access it because of technology, and we love the fact that they're making it more accessible. We'll be having that conversation in a few minutes' time. It's 9 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. Welcome to the golden hour of The Upside.
Africa, voici Abedi.
Oui, c'est moi.
Abedi est un passionné de musique dans l'âme. Il a un goût pour toutes sortes de musique et passe ses journées à écouter Channel Africa.
J'aime beaucoup la musique africaine.
Ok. Devinez quoi? Channel Africa veut aider Abedi et les mélomanes du monde entier à découvrir encore plus de musique incroyable. C'est pourquoi Channel Africa appelle les artistes africains à soumettre leur musique. Chers artistes, n'oubliez pas de nous fournir toutes vos informations pertinentes à l'email adresse musique@channelafrica.co.za. Les soumissions sont votre chance d'être entendues, mais elles ne garantissent pas une playlist. Toutes les soumissions seront soigneusement examinées pour voir si elles répondent aux exigences de notre station. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
Darubini ya Afrika na I am Henry Shakif.
Dar es Salaam siku ya leo ni ya kijani.
Ya kabisa. Tanzania nzima macho ni hapa, na mkutano wa leo umeshika karibu 90% ya vyombo vyote vya habari. Niko hapa kusubiri kusikia ni kitu gani hasa ambacho CCM itakisema katika siku ya kwanza ya grand opening ya uzinduzi wa kampeni zake kitaifa.
Rais wa Tanzania Samia Suluhu Hassan ameidhinishwa kuwania kiti cha urais katika uchaguzi utakaofanyika Oktoba 29 mwaka huu na tume ya uchaguzi. Hili unalizungumzia vipi?
Ila kwanza lilitarajiwa, ni jambo liko wazi kwa sababu Rais Samia ndiye aliyepata idhini ya kuteuliwa na Chama cha Mapinduzi kupeperusha bendera ya chama.
Darubini ya Afrika 11 kamili hadi 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
Channel Africa, your voice, your sound, and your home. Stay logged right here.
I know I can go.
14:14 on the digital clock, coming through with Nomfundo More with Izibusiso. Blessings is what this time is about, and the clock is nice and synchronized, which makes all the sense in the world. Okay, we're going to look at the work of artist as first responder, and the founder and curator of this particular space is who we're going to be talking to. Art always as just a special, significant place to tap into, because it is creative problem solving.
Absolutely. Over the weekend at FNB Art Joburg, the platform and collective Artist as First Responder hosted a powerful interactive activation in collaboration with Johannesburg's Still Art Residency Program. Leading this initiative is US-based curator Ashara Ekundayo, who now joins us to tell us a bit more about this initiative and the platform itself. Ashara, thank you so much for your time. Welcome to The Upside. Tell us a bit about the Artist as First Responder platform and its vision.
Well, greetings, family. Hello, and what up, though, from Detroit, Michigan.
What up?
What up, though? Yabo. And I'm really happy to be here with you all this afternoon, and to just hang out a little bit and talk about the platform and the philosophy of artist as first responder. And it really comes from the knowing that artists show up first. That it is always your creative, intellectual, dynamic, and divine self that shows up when there is a catastrophe, where there's a situation that needs to be problem solved. And it is also the artists who show up first in celebration. And so that is what we know, is that artists are going to be in our divine space because it's what we must do in society. We came through the portal of our mother as creative beings. And then sometimes society tells you that you can't live, into your most creative self, but it is always your most creative self indeed that is in motion, that is in process. And that's how we show up here. So we are a collective of artists who primarily live in the US, but we are doing more and more international activations across geography and across genre.
That is amazing, and I love the way you use the word divine, because that means light. So there's a lot of light in the work that you're doing in the artistic spaces. And as I understand it, you hosted what was described as a powerful interactive activation in collaboration with Johannesburg's Still Art Residency Program. Talk to us about that and how the response went.
We hosted an activation which we call the Afro Portals project space. And Afro Portals is it's an experiment at the intersection of technology, creativity, and justice, where we have connected with artists and creatives and educators and activists from all over the planet through a technology called portals. And the most simple way to describe it is that there are these either shipping containers or inflatable containers or spaces, for instance, a room or a closet, that have been retrofitted with technology, and that there is an actual network around the world of these portals, connected through an organization in New York called Shared Studios, that allows us to be in conversation, in dialogue, in performance, in inquiry with each other. And so our partners at the Still Art residency program located in Johannesburg they've been part of the FNB Art Joburg for the last few years, invited us to come and activate and animate a conversation with them. And so we brought our Afro Portals project space to FNB through our partners in Johannesburg. And so our portal lives in Oakland, California, in Northern California. We often speak with Johannesburg. And so we invited the Johannesburg team, Hector and his team, to bring the portal to FNB, which had never happened before. So it's an unprecedented experiment. We weren't sure how it was going to turn out. And I know that Madla and Kim, weren't sure either, but they trusted Ayana B. Jackson, who is an American artist, who is the founder at Still Art Residency Project. They trusted her to like bring something beautiful and dynamic. And so this is it turned out like I said, it was wildly successful. In addition to the portal where people were able to step into a container and be in conversation with artists and students in Kigali, in Addis Ababa, in São Vicente, Brazil, in Mexico City, Mexico. They were also able to tag the wall. And so we weren't sure how that was going to turn out, but I know that one of y'all, put your name up on that wall. So the graffiti wall was kind of a spontaneous activation in conjunction with the Afro Portals project, stewarded by our climate justice and futures director, Itef Vita, who's a vegan chef, hip hop, b-boy, DJ. So he was DJing throughout the weekend, but he also like invited people to tag the wall because he grew up, in the era of hip hop and, is a b-boy and a graph artist. And we had no idea. And again, neither did the FNB, Art Joburg folks. They were like, well, it's your wall. You can do whatever you want to do with your wall. Just know that we're going to paint over it at the, once everybody got so into it, everybody wanted to put their tag up. I mean, there's all kinds of political messages, love messages on there, commentary on the politics of the day are on that wall. We said, you can't paint over this wall. So we cut up the wall and we took it with us.
Oh,
So
Lord.
that art piece now lives in Johannesburg at the Still Art Residency Project in Ellis House. So we're excited to have also, created an artifact of the future, a piece of the archive that represents just some of the magnificent energy over the weekend at the art fair.
A welcomed creative prize at the FNB Art Joburg because we're currently in conversation with the curator and founder of Artist as First Responder, Ashara Akundayo, and she's US based. They were here this past weekend for an activation, and we're talking all things how it went and what we can expect in the future from this platform. It's 22 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African time. Let's take a quick breather. When we get back, we continue the conversation.
Mornings made better with Peter and Asanda on Rise and Shine, weekdays 6 till 9.
Former politician and diplomat, he's the leader of the Democratic Alliance Party at one stage, and also served as South Africa's ambassador to Argentina, Uruguay and Paraguay. Ambassador Tony Leon, if you were party leader now and in the GNU, what would you be pushing for?
I can speak with some direct experience because, as you might know, I was actually one of the negotiators of the GNU last year when it was formed. What I'd be pushing for is to hold the government or the president's feet to the fire on actually operationalizing the agreement that was implemented. Unfortunately, that agreement has been honored only in its breach. And I think, go back to basics and just say, okay, we're not going any further with this arrangement until we actually implement these steps.
Mornings made better with Peter and Asanda on Rise and Shine. Your afternoons just got even better, fresh and exciting. The Upside, hooking you up with today's news from an African perspective.
All right, let's continue our conversation. We're in the world of art with Ashara Ekundayo, curator and founder of Artist as First Responder. They were activating this past weekend at the FNB Art Joburg in collaboration with Johannesburg's Still Art Residency program. Ashara, let's talk about art, serving as a tool for healing and activism, especially in the African context.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's a pretty wide, a wide brush, stroke to make. But what I will say about the way in which many artists work, not all artists, but particularly at Artists as First Responder. I mean, we're committed to and dedicated to creating what we call sacred spaces, for imagination, for investigation, and for rest, honestly. And we utilize, the principles and the constructs, the structures of Afrofuturism, Black feminist thought, in the tradition of the Black arts movement as well, to really championing artists whose practices heal communities and save lives. I mean, that's really the overall crux of being an artist responder, of being a first responder, in fact. And so being able to partner with artists and organizations on the African continent to be really in space of our most divine, creative offering, we feel that this is the way in which we continue to like save ourselves, to be our most whole human being self. And that, there's so much about being an artist that is challenging, I think, for many folks, young people coming up on the African continent who are told that they, have to be a doctor, they have to be a lawyer, they have to be, they have to find themselves in a place where they might want to be a full-time artist, but they are, they're told that they can't be an artist at all. And, our invitation is to be both, that you can be a painter who goes to law school, that you can be a musician, who is also, raising children and who is also going to college or getting a PhD, become a lecturer or whatever. And so this usefulness, of your creative self, at least through our platform, shows up as exhibitions. It shows up as artist residencies for curators as well. It shows up in public forums, and so there are, what can I say? And it shows up in the archive. And I think what is really important and unprecedented about FNB Art Joburg inviting Steel Art Residency Project program and inviting artists as first responder to collaborate on something is that we all were in a space of imagination. And it's a place where all four of our tenants were able to show up, an artist residency in an exhibition space, creating and pouring into an archive through a public forum across geography. And so the importance of artists, writers, filmmakers is that we show what is possible. We create and lay bare new worlds and opportunities for us because there's a lot of angst, there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of suffering happening right now. And sometimes, being able to get on the dance floor is how you have just a few moments of freedom, a few moments of joy. And in particular, we're interested in Black joy. We're interested in, what it means to show up for each other, take care of each other, come for each other, hold each other dear, and hopefully make each other laugh. But this is what art does for everyone. And there isn't a child who doesn't sing before they speak, before they talk, or doesn't dance or move before they walk. If your body can do that, if you can hear or feel a rhythm, you will move to it before you can like speak to your parents and be like, I need this, I want this. But I might hum, I might sing. So we all come through the portal of our mother as the creative divine self that we are. And hopefully someone nurtures that and tells you that that is a good thing to be and that that is your role in society, because we have to have those of us who dedicate our lives to that level of offering.
Man, my heart is breaking in a million little pieces, Ashara, because I really wanted to extend this conversation, because I really wanted to ask you about, I mean, immediately when you spoke about Black Joy, I started to think about poetry and blues music with Aja Monet, the late great Gil Scott
Yes.
Heron. People like Ntoza Keshange, who came up with the wonderful color for colored girls and all of that, and how we're merging digitally as artists and merging Black geographies. Man, we'll have that conversation another day. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. It was so wonderful to meet you through this platform and to engage with your thought leadership and your feminism that is so, so important in the space of art. All the best. Where can we go if we want to find out, perhaps for collaborative opportunities very quickly around artists as a first responder?
Well, please follow us on our website at artistasfirstresponder.com, and of course on IG also at artistasfirstresponder.com, and follow our stories and follow Still Artist Residency on IG as well for more collaborations. And thank you so much for inviting me to be on the show for just a little bit today. Had a great time, and I hope to see you again. I'll keep listening.
Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Coming through in conversation with Ashara Ekundayo, who is a curator and founder of Artist as First Responder. It is 2:30 on the dot. Figile Lengwati standing by with the latest in sports.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Let's start off with motor racing and biking. The International Motorcycling Federation, FIM, and the MotoGP are pulling the plug on the Moto E World Championship in 2026, citing a lack of viewership and insufficient development in electric performance motorcycles. Moto E's journey has been a tale of diminishing returns. After what started as 4 rounds with 6 races in its inaugural year in 2019, expanded to 8 rounds with 16 races, only to shrink back to 7 rounds at select European circuits for 2025. The format never caught on, with short races lasting fewer than 10 laps and lap times comparable to bikes used in Moto E, the lightweight class of motorbike racing, where young riders physically cut their teeth. MotoGP and FIM said the motorcycle industry is shifting gears towards cleaner innovation, with a growing emphasis on high-efficiency combustion engines and the adoption of non-fossil fuel. On to cricket news, Spar Proteas star Kamogelo Mmaseko has advised the baby Proteas to remain resilient and consistent as they look to make their mark in the upcoming Netball World Youth Cup in Gibraltar. The SA Under-21 team departed for London on Tuesday with a final series of warm-up matches scheduled before the 2025 World Cup campaign kicks off on the 19th of September in Gibraltar. Mmaseko says coach Precious Mthembu's charges should enjoy every moment that comes with experiencing netball at the highest level.
Go out there and enjoy every moment. I think embrace the opportunity that you have been given to represent your country. So, fly the South African flag high. Embrace the fact that you are role models to young girls out there. And you're also literally a step away from being a Spar Protea, which is a senior player. So really ensure that you use this opportunity to also glorify God and to just, represent your country with the highest honor.
The 23-year-old goaler Czech also advised on how the baby Proteas can go all the way to the final come the 28th of September, highlighting the importance of consistency and resilience.
What will it take for them to find themselves in the final? I think what it will take for the baby Proteas to find themselves in the final is really, for me, consistency. If they can be consistent from the first game to the last, if they can be resilient, have that grit, to know that even when the going gets tough, they still need to focus on achieving and looking at the bigger goal.
And the Nigeria's 4th edition of the Chief of Defense Staff, CDS, Unity Basketball Championship Southwest Zone organized by the Defense Headquarters, is scheduled from the 30th of September to the 5th of October at the National Stadium in Teslim Balogun Stadium, Surulere, Lagos. This annual championship is part of the CDS's non-kinetic approach to strengthen security and foster unity, discipline, and teamwork among Nigerian youth. And finally, golf news. 11 golfers matched player under par as the Johnny Walker Uganda Golf Open got off to a flying start at the Par 71 Lugazi Hills Golf and Country Club. Between day one, leader Ronald Rugumayo at 4 under and former champion Robson Chinoi from Zimbabwe are 9 golfers who will all be happy with the way they have started the 84th Uganda Open. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Figure Dungwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Ahoy, matey!
Captain here to help, right, boys?
Set sail with us on a digital voyage like no other. Channel Africa has a treasure trove of awesomeness. That is our website and social media pages.
Tell me, why are you here?
We want you to be part of our adventure.
The winds are changing, Captain. And this time...
Imagine a world where curiosity knows no bounds, where entertainment meets enlightenment, and where every click leads to the African perspective. Visit us on our website, www.channelafrica.co.za, or follow us on Instagram or on X at Channel Africa One. Go on, like us on Facebook at Channel Africa One. So, spread the word. Tell a friend that Channel Africa's online variety is what they need on the web. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Mmatsheko Mosito and Tebogo Lekhuleni on the upside.
2:36 in Central African time. Let's check in with the latest in business. Nosipho Zuma is standing by.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Mmatsheko. Good afternoon. In your business news this hour, Uganda's economy is expected to grow by an average 8% annually over the next 5 years. The growth is driven by investments in petroleum production and sectors such as transport. Now, according to the Finance Ministry, crude oil production expected to begin around mid-2026 will help push growth into double digits in the 2026-2027 fiscal year. The International Monetary Fund last year projected that oil production would lift Ugandan economic growth to double digits. Now, this is the first time the government has made a similar forecast. South Africa's current account deficit widened to 1.1% of gross domestic product, which is the GDP, in the second quarter of 2025 from a revised 0.6% deficit in the first quarter. In rand terms, the current account deficit rose to $4.72 billion from a revised $2.78 billion in the first 3 months of the year. Now, according to the South African Reserve Bank, the trade surplus narrowed to $10.10 billion in April-June from $12.4 billion in January to March, as the value of goods exports decreased more than that of imports. South African Public Works and Infrastructure Minister Dean Macpherson says he also has questions about the $45 million oxygen plant tender awarded by the Independent Development Trust. He was asked for an update on the saga during question time to economics cluster ministers and the National Assembly. The department appointed an audit firm to investigate allegations of fraud and corruption around the tender process. Now, since then, it has been recommended that disciplinary action to be taken against IDT CEO Tebogo. Macpherson was asked why the CEO has not yet been fired or arrested.
The one thing, if I may,
that has astounded me during the IDT scandal is not so much the questions as to the conduct of the IDT, but to continually repeat false narratives to delegitimize the investigation into the IDT and cover it up. And I think that has really, really worried me as to why that took place among so many political parties.
Oil prices have held steady today. Worries over softening U.S. demand and broad oversupply risks were offset by concerns of attacks in the Middle East and the Russian war in Ukraine. Brent crude futures were down 13 U.S. cents at $67.36 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures lost 17 cents to $63.50. And finally, Switzerland is proposing that its gold industry builds a refinery in the United States or increases its processing capacity there. The proposal is part of a plan to reduce U.S. trade tariffs. On the 7th of August, President Donald Trump slammed 39% tariffs on Swiss goods imports due to the U.S. trade deficit with Switzerland, which scrapped its own industrial tariffs at the start of last year. Your financial indicators: $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 naira 508. In Botswana, it's 13 pula 25. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 42. And in Zambia, it's 24 kwacha 08. The BRICS countries: $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 42. Russia is 84 rubles 33. India, it's 88 rupees 10. China at 7 yuan 12. And in South Africa, $1 is trading at 17 rand 51. $1 is trading at 74 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,632 and platinum at $1,381 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil is at $67.37 a barrel. Now, for any business news stories you would like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I'm Mosito.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Je, una jambo lolote akilini mwako? Je, una shauku kuhusu masuala muhimu? Na je, una maoni ambayo unataka yasikike? Kweli, hili jukwaa ni la kwako. Piga simu au tuandikie kwenda WhatsApp namba alama ya kujumulisha 2760552594 na tutakupigia simu.
Mtangazaji wa habari zetu za Afrika Kusini mjini Johannesburg.
Hivyo unaweza kuwa mshirika kwenye matangazo yetu. Sio mazungumzo tu, ni fursa yako ya kuchangia maoni yako na kushirikiana na jumuiya ya wasikilizaji wanaotamani mtazamo wako. Tufuate kwenye mitandao ya kijamii. Tembelea tovuti yetu www.channelafrica.co.za na uwe tayari kushiriki na kuchangia maoni yako kwenye Channel Africa. Channel Africa, mtazamo wa Kiafrika.
Whatever you want to hear about today's talk, you can only get it on the Upside. Every weekday, 2 to 5 p.m. Central African Time.
ibamba umthetho usithando sami mina ngiyafuma iphutha ngelami futhi bengenza kangcono limele ubuhlungu ngizokhala uzabani na khona njena mina ngilimele ubuhlungu ngizokhala sabele bani na ulimele ubuhlungu ngizokhala uzabani na sengiyeza mina ngilimele ubuhlungu ngizokhala sabele bani na
That song there, Mahu, featuring Deep Sen Limele. I was hit. I was in pain. Not to sound insensitive, right?
Please don't sound insensitive.
Okay, I mustn't. Okay. All right, I'm not going to.
Okay.
I wanted to talk about what caught my eye.
Mm.
And it's got something to do with the Nepal protests that have been happening over the past couple of days.
Yes.
I don't know if you've kept an eye on that and saw what was happening there. It was a Gen Z protest, led protest in Nepal, and they were saying, we are tired of corruption. We are tired of corruption in this country, and we want and demand change. And they went on quite a violent streak, burning buildings, going to the home of the Prime Minister. They attacked the wife as well, attacked the Prime Minister, paraded him all over, burned down parliaments, and so on and so forth, saying, hey, we are tired of corruption. Here's where I raise a bit of a concern, because why does it have to take such extreme violence for there to be change in our societies? The minister has subsequently resigned because of the protest, the violent protest. And we look at it from an African perspective now, and we come to South Africa. There are protests popping up left, right, and center now. Go to KZN, go to Coronationville or Coronation area here in South Africa. They are protesting about service delivery, no water in that area, and these little rises, little revolutions here and there popping up. What happens when the citizens are sick and tired of being sick and tired? There's no army that can outnumber the number of civilians that are in a country. Nepal has proven that when the citizens say we are tired, we are sick and tired of being sick and tired, they can overthrow an entire government. Is that perhaps where we are going to go as a country, as an Africa, as a continent? Because conversations around we want service delivery, we want to be treated fairly, we want access, and we want corruption to be completely, we want proper leaders. Is that where we are going to go? Those conversations are not amounting to anything? The national dialogue spending millions? For what? At what point will citizens start saying, not just in South Africa, but around the continent, we are sick and tired of being sick and tired?
Yeah, I don't even think the question is that where we're going? We are already there.
It's brewing.
Oh, we are totally already there. And what's interesting to note is, you mentioned the Gen Z, protest that happened in Nepal, and of course that means the constituencies, young people, right? And that's what we're seeing in the Ivory Coast. That's what we're seeing in many states within Nigeria. That is what we're seeing in northern DRC. And we're seeing women that are leading these particular protests. So not only is that revolutionary, but it is unfortunately necessary at this time. For people to be able to be heard, we need numbers, and we need loud voices. And one of the places and the platforms to exercise your voice is through protest. Yes, we want the peaceful, protests that fall within legalities, and it might, protests using South Africa as an example need to be legal and they need to be protected. But if we are not being heard, then it just becomes a revolt. So it's not even about, are we getting there? Listen, we're already in that timeline, and for things to change, history has proven to us that we need a revolution.
It's 9 minutes before 3 p.m. Central African time. This is what caught your eye. And I can't wait for Mmatsheko to share what caught her eye. And I want us to put out a poll question when it comes to what caught your eye, because it's an interesting one. I've already shared my piece, but I would love to hear what our lovely listeners and maybe even our technical director has to say about that one. Don't go anywhere.
This September, Channel Africa celebrates Heritage Month, a time to honor the stories, the rhythms, and the languages that make us who we are. Whether you're in Lagos or the shores of Zanzibar, to the mountains of Lesotho or the markets of Dakar, we are united in diversity.
Najivunia kuwa Mwafrika.
Kukondolera Afrika.
Proudly African and fabulous.
Let us preserve our languages. Let's embrace our uniqueness. Let's embrace our cultures and celebrate the beauty of our continent. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Let the Upside transport you from Cape to Cairo every weekday from 2 to 5 p.m.
Central African time.
8 minutes before 3 p.m. Central African time. Let's continue with what caught your eye. What caught your eye?
I was waiting for you to say the revolution. The revolution. The revolution will be televised.
Well, that was my previous story. But but let's talk about the revolution of this one.
Yes, and also don't chicken out of this one, because we actually didn't get your opinion. You mentioned it.
My full opinion.
Yes, we want to know. Are you going to be Tebogo demand? We want to know. Are you going to be Tebogo? I don't know, Simone or something.
Share what caught your eye so we can give context to our lovely listeners.
No, of course. I'm getting there. But
I'm not going to give it until.
I'm trying to elicit a response from you, because big changes are in store for surnames in the South African region. Okay. And it's so wonderful that we live in this country. I cannot tell you, I wouldn't choose a different country, because we take some of the most difficult and serious issues and turn them into comedy scenes. The Constitutional Court has ruled that sections of the Births and Deaths Registration Act, I beg your pardon, are unconstitutional, ordering that there are changes that would allow, men to make the surname of their wives in marriage. I think I need to say that again. Okay? The Births and Deaths Registration Act are unconstitutional. There we go. Ordering that they be changed to allow men to take the surname of their wives in marriage. So what does that mean in English? That means that when you get married as a man to a woman, you will be allowed by law to take your wife's surname. That's what that means in English. The matter was first heard in the Constitutional Court in March, following a previous ruling in the Free State High Court in September of the previous year. And the High Court has ordered that men can assume their wife's surnames should they wish to do so, or have a double-barreled surname in marriage, ruling that Tebogo Lekhuleni can be Tebogo Lekhuleni. Simon or Ndimande or whatever he wants to be. Okay, that's what that means. So of course this would then spark a whole lot of opinion on social media, and I saw somebody make an example of a very famous DJ musician couple, saying that, oh, so and so can now comfortably take his wife's surname. So
Who's
she calls the shots.
Who's this now?
No, I don't want to say.
You don't want to say?
I don't want to say.
No,
Is that, am I being a wet blanket?
No, you're not. But no, we're not doing that. No.
Are we not doing that?
No.
You're not taking my surname.
I'm not gonna take. That's why I wanted to ask our technical director here, Untando, if Untando would take on his wife's surname. Untando, would you take your wife's surname?
No.
What is your reason? Why wouldn't you take it?
Culturally, and where I come from, we're very proud men.
What if there's a big check involved? You're marrying into royalty, you know?
Okay.
You've just found yourself a beautiful, beautiful wife in royalty, and they're asking you now, you must be Ndando Ndabezita or something.
No.
It's a no from you.
No.
Okay, then.
Keep the check. Here's the question to you. Would you allow your husband, your man, to take your surname?
Listen, first of all, I don't know if I'll get married to a man who will allow that.
See,
There
we go.
I don't even think he will allow that. Mosito. He's just not going to allow that. But the jokes are hilarious. So I mentioned this famous couple, but I love what Tabeleng Dikotsi was saying. Tabeleng is, she's actually really phenomenal. She's the first black woman to own a bank and run it successfully and all of that. She commented, because this is a story that she picked up under the SABC News Twitter handle at SABC News, and she comments and says, the Constitutional Court of South Africa will declare everything and anything unconstitutional except for the expropriation of land without compensation and illegal foreigners not belonging to this country. Not all these illegal foreigners who marry South African women are going to assume the woman's surname. As Africans who believe in ancestry, I can't imagine the damage this is going to do for families who just assume a woman's surname without doing proper cultural ceremonies. Each time things go wrong, you're using your mother's surname is what's going to come up.
And these are facts.
You know, look, listen, I can't detect any lies in this tweet. I'm trying to scan through it. And she's basing it on some real things. So
no. It's a no from me.
It's a
no from Tando. It's a no from as Channel Africa. Actually, let me not speak on behalf of everyone.
No,
do
not speak on behalf of the station.
On behalf
Please don't do that.
of the upside. All right, the upside men. No to taking our wife's surname.
Okay, the Upside Men's Forum says no to taking your wife's surname.
No, that's not going to happen.
Or the woman's surname.
No.
So it doesn't. There's no terms and conditions involved.
No.
It's as simple as Shategabani, and that's that.
If she's of royalty or what, made lots of money, no, and no. And very quickly, I know we're out of time. Very quickly, I wanted to touch on this. Yesterday, we were talking about the tragedy that happened in Mamelodi.
Yes.
The constable who held his mother hostage and his nephew hostage. It turns out the reason was because his partner, the child that he was raising for 4 years, did not belong to him, but belonged to his brother. The family knew, the mother knew, the brother knew, she knew, and he didn't.
Everybody else did, but him.
Everyone but him. Here's my thing also now, is to say, perhaps it now needs to become a law that before that child leaves the hospital, there must be paternity tests, what.
I agree with
because
that.
it doesn't harm the baby. I think after about 8 weeks of pregnancy, they can start getting the blood sample from the mother to get the DNA and run a paternity test. And then when the child is born, they can do those cheek swabs and what, and then the cheek swab on the dad to confirm that you are indeed the father. Let it not be now a matter of, it can't be sufficed that the mom says Tebogo is the father without any proof. I think now going forward, it needs to be put into law. You don't excuse also what he did, because he did say that he was abusive towards her.
But these are the consequences of, unfortunately.
And the fact that there are some some men, 40 years old, saying that I found out yesterday that my dad was not my dad. It's 3 p.m. Central African time. Let's get the latest news with Jolani Tulongwepe.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Tebogo. Top stories: Asawa uncertainty over Ghana's latest decision on U.S. immigrants, and Britain steps in to help Ukraine. Good afternoon. There's uncertainty on whether Ghana's latest decision to receive deportees from the U.S. has been ratified in Parliament. Ghana has agreed to accept West African nationals deported from the United States, with 14 having already arrived in the country. They include Nigerians and one Gambian whom have already been returned to their home countries. President John Dramani Mahama made the announcement at a press briefing yesterday. Our correspondent in Ghana, Eric Mawena Egbeta, elaborates.
Outside of whether or not there are financial benefits, there is a question of whether or not this agreement was ratified by Parliament. And I mentioned the 2016 Guantanamo Bay agreement which we had with the U.S. Someone took that matter to the country's Supreme Court, and the court ruled that the agreement without parliamentary approval was not binding on us. And so it had to go to Parliament for ratification. That will come up again because the questions will be asked as to whether or not this agreement has to go to Parliament for ratification. And that's what we're expecting.
Malawi's 2025 general election campaign period ends this Saturday. All the 16 presidential hopefuls have since lined up final rallies in major cities to woo 7.2 million registered voters. Frontrunners are former President Peter Mutharika of the Democratic Progressive Party, former Reserve Bank Governor Dalito Kambembe, and incumbent President Lazarus Chakwera of the Malawi Congress Party. The campaign is dominated by promises of food security, economic recovery, job creation, and the formation of a federal kind of government. George Mhango reports.
Talk of the public that rising prices of sugar, bread, and cooking oil, including fertilizer, should be tamed by the next president. Former President Mutharika is the view that he is going to lower inflation to a single digit, while incumbent President Chakwera says programs of food security will be his key policy. Travels to various towns and cities show symbols of various political party campaign materials.
Chairperson of the South African Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Police has expressed concerns that the lack of capacity within the SAPS in the Western Cape province is hindering efforts to effectively combat the rising crime rates in the province. Ian Cameron says police are unable to carry out their responsibilities due to a lack of resources. His comments come in light of several recent shootings in Cape Town that are suspected to be gang-related. Cameron says with the new recruits graduating in the coming weeks, they are hopeful that they will see change.
Even if the police had all the will in the world to try and fight this, they simply do not have the capacity. It's physically impossible, and they can try and say otherwise, but I can tell you now that we've just been through the budget process of the police. They literally do not have the capacity, so they cannot do that. When we look at the Western Cape specifically, if we're not going to push to share investigative capacity and to share the burden with regards to investigating serious and violent crime, especially with regards to gang violence, I don't expect the tide to turn. We have to make sure that we broaden investigative capacity and intelligence capacity.
The head of the Health Department in South Africa's Eastern Cape province, Dr. Rolene Wagner, says the province urgently needs a multi-pronged approach to prevent young children dying from acute malnutrition-related complications. The Department of Health appeared in front of the Human Rights Commission to provide an update on the progress made in curbing malnutrition in the Eastern Cape. The country recorded 573 deaths associated with severe acute malnutrition complications in 2024. KwaZulu-Natal recorded the highest number of deaths, followed by Limpopo and the Eastern Cape province. Dr. Wagner says this crisis is due to socio-economic factors such as high levels of poverty and unemployment.
Often severe acute malnutrition is not the cause, it's an underlying. So once we've analysed what the causes are, the other key component is to analyse where it's occurring. Because when you've got limited resources, you want to make sure that you are directing those resources at the right places in order to have the desired impact. So in our department, we've actually focused on active case finding through our community-based outreach teams.
Britain is to mass-produce interceptor drones to help Ukraine defend itself from Russian air attacks. It's part of a wider technology-sharing agreement between the UK and Ukraine. The BBC's Danny Eberhard has the details.
Britain's Ministry of Defence says fast-flying interceptor drones are considerably cheaper than regular air defence missiles. They cost, it says, less than 10% of the amount spent producing the attack drones they're designed to take out. The ministry also praises their effectiveness. The interceptor drones were designed by Ukraine with support from British scientists and technicians. The aim is to produce thousands per month.
Recapping the top story this hour, there is uncertainty on whether Ghana's latest decision to receive deportees from the US has been ratified in Parliament. Ghana has agreed to accept West African nationals deported from the United States, with 14 having already arrived in the country. For any news stories you would like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I'm Jolani Tulo-Webe.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Seven minutes after 3 p.m. Central African Time. Welcome to the final hour of The Upside on Channel Africa, the African Perspective, with Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko Mosito. We're coming to you live, still coming to you live, from the Auckland Park Studios in Johannesburg, South Africa. And you can join us live on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. If you have DSTV, it's Channel 802, OpenView Channel 628. As always, you can download that SABC Plus app so you can take us with you wherever you go on your Android or your iOS device. And if you'd like to revisit some of the conversations, download our podcasts, go to www.channelafrica.co.za. In this hour, we talk all things fashion. Exciting.
Very exciting. Also, we are in the depths of wedding season in the Southern Hemisphere. So we are, checking out the fabric, looking at Pinterest for inspiration of what to sew and what to do. But yes, we have a wonderful designer who's going to be joining us on the show as we acknowledge this time of the year, but also just design, where fashion is going and all the beautiful things. Vukulu Ndove is going to be joining us, and he is a fashion designer and founder of Vukulu Trends. So we're going to be turning to fashion to really talk about, also just on that note of wedding season, how the bride is looking at their dress in this day and age, because it's clearly very different to how it was, in a different timeline, where your wedding dress had to be passed down from grandmother to grandmother to grandmother until it gets to you 50 years later. That's no longer the case. Okay, women are very individual in how they want to look and they taste, and some of them want to wear black dresses on their wedding day, not the traditional white dress. So we're going to talk all of that, and also looking at it, of course, from an African perspective with our beautiful Ankara fabrics, the use of that in wedding gowns, the merging of traditional weddings and the Western wedding, You know, there's a lot of that I've seen, particularly in South Africa and in Nigeria as well, where the women are wearing the gele, but the wedding looks very Western. So listen, it's going to be such a beautiful conversation. And I think if you love fashion, but also love the fact that this time of the year is nice, sunny and hot and juicy and wedding vibes are out there, then you're going to really enjoy the conversation.
White wedding or African wedding for you?
A blend.
A blend.
A blend of the two.
Right. 10 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African Time. Welcome to the final hour of The Upside.
Parlez-vous couramment le français? Êtes-vous passionné par la radio? Et êtes-vous qualifié pour travailler en Afrique du Sud? Envoyez-nous votre CV et vos 3 minutes démo en MP3 à @channelafrica.co.za pour avoir une chance de rejoindre la famille Channel Africa. Si vous n'avez pas de réponse après 14 jours, cela signifie que vous n'avez pas été retenu. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
Broadcasting in 5 different languages, connecting the continent. This is Channel Africa, the African perspective.
She don't give me something, Roja over. I don't even tell it over. Like she do me karashika, make I no feel liver. Me way be John Cena. I say I swear you mine, die. Baby girl, now you me got design. Well, as your face they show, now show your shoe design. Now you gon' be my wife, you got to be my wife. For you I paid the price, yeah. Oh Gigi, oh my.
Plenty kele from my life, now you I choose. I don't dare wonder if you everything I close. If I do you wrong, my baby boo, I'm sorry. You say I get too many girls, that's on a story. But now you did my mind, I swear, say now you did my mind. I swear I know the lie, I dream about you all the time. Cause girl, you blow my mind, and I know 59. Girl, you do me bad. Yeah.
Ogechi, kama.
Neno my baby, okay, come on, Lulu fair, no kulai, I need your love for my.
Mami fem genyeki, obi mo imani maka.
Pretty in your love is all I do for the living. I tempted to touch your foreign booty. If I kill him on, still the love I got. Pretty full enough for back. Oh baby, this love is real. I give you my body, I'm official. Don't look like Boba, boy I'm Kabasha. Yeah, you forgot that, baby, I know say you like her. Mani magali, let her dollar ma. All around to make us spray you on my dollar now. Parade for my body, yeah. Chop my granoto, make it burn my bikini. Ogechi, come on. Then my baby, come on. But don't look fair, I don't go lie. I need your love, I need your love, I need your love, I need your love.
Ogechi, come on.
Then my baby, okay, come on. Lulu fair, no good lie. I need your love for my.
Mami fem genyeki, obi mo imani maka. Ogechi, come on.
It is 14 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African Time. The name of the song is Ogechi by Brown Joel featuring Davido. We've got Boy P. Haisi. Just off air, I was saying, there are certain names we don't like. Why?
Are you going to apologize, or you gonna just?
I must apologize.
Move through this.
Yeah.
Slide out.
I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry. Boy P. No Haisi. Yes, on that song. All right, let's talk about important things. Fashion and African fashion on the African continent. It's wedding season now. What are we seeing our brides wearing? Are they embracing African traditional attire and materials and fabrics and colors? Or are we sticking to the Western side of things with white weddings? Where we at? Where we at? And we're about to talk to someone who ensures that African fashion is trendy and that we are always talking about it.
Right. And what does trend mean for an individual? Vukulu Ndove, fashion designer and founder of Vukulu Trends, is joining us as we close off this hour. We are going to look at this from a holistic point of view, okay? We're going to be speaking and profiling the work of Vukulu Trends, but also just talking about blending modern design with African identity. What does that mean to Vukulu? And he joins us on the line for a conversation. Welcome to the show, Vukulu. Wonderful to have you join us on Channel Africa. Thanks for the time. What are you wearing today?
Thank you so much. It's lovely to have me, I guess, and to have you guys.
Yeah, so what are you wearing that you'd like to just describe your outfit to us? I would imagine it's just tasteful.
Oh, okay.
And
So
beautiful.
today I'm just wearing like a set of linen, a simple set of linen. I made a shirt and simple pants for sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice one. Okay, let's talk about your fashion career and how you got started on the journey and then establishing Vukulu Trends.
Oh, okay. So I went to a school called Roguda. It's in Benda, Toronto. I studied for a year, and I had an option of continuing, but I think I was good enough for that. I was like, you know what? With what I got, I think I can start a business. So 2017, I started working after I graduated from that school. Yeah, that's how it all took off.
The name Vukulu. It's
Yes.
give us the story, the meaning behind the name.
Oh, the name Bukulu. Okay, so the meaning is, so my mom, when she was pregnant with me, there were so many complications and she started being sick and stuff like that when she was pregnant with me. So God gave her a name Bukulu to name me because of the assignment that I had on the earth. So she was like, dude, this is the name that God gave me, and it all makes sense. It means the greatness of God. So yeah, so I really believe that it carries so much weight in also my assignment and what I'm on the earth to establish for sure.
That is so beautiful. Oh man,
Thank you so
I'm
much.
glad Tebogo asked. Oh, so let's talk about just your brand identity. We obviously really want to steer this conversation to acknowledge the wedding season in the Southern Hemisphere. So I mean that encompasses all the countries here, and the fact that we are approaching an equinox and there's spring in the air and celebration and all of that. But what informs your brand identity? Is it about culture? Is it about heritage? Is it about modern trends, or a blend of all of that?
I think I love the blend idea. I really love always when I make my stuff. There's always a mixture of most of the times. There's always a mixture of modern and also like a traditional feel. So most of the times it's like a both worlds touch up. Like for an example, with the corset dresses that I'm making now, there's some that will have stones or crystals. I'm still like planning on how it's gonna blend beautifully. The fact that the fabrics are really stable and they're non-shine fabrics, but how do I make it make sense with both crystals and beads at the same time? Kind of elevate that, and also we are busy with corsets a lot. We make a lot of corsets recently, so yeah, that's what we're busy doing. So like most of our traditional dresses have full corsets inside, so we snatch people's bodies because a lot of people just wanna snatch up and hide them powers and
We
stuff
want to
like
be
that.
snatched. Yes, sir.
So the best way to go about it is to do it like that. I think that is the best way. We are navigating right now, and it's working greatly.
We're currently in conversation with the founder of Vukulu Trends, Vukulu Ndove, and we want to find out more about the trends currently it's wedding season in Southern Africa. We want to find out what the trends are amongst the brides, the couples. What are they requesting from him this season? It is now 20 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African time. We continue the conversation right after this.
Hi there. Do you want to elevate your business and give it a voice in South Africa and Africa as a whole? Well, in that case, let Channel Africa make this a possibility. Channel Africa is willing to advertise your business for as little as 30,000 rands or $1,719.18. To get access to these great rates, send all requests to mukwenata@SABC. That's MOKOENATA@SABC. Channel Africa, the African perspective. This is The Upside for the best African vibes, groundbreaking content.
20 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African time. It's wedding season in Southern Africa. And perhaps you've been thinking, contemplating, struggling to figure out how the dress is going to look, how to play out. I've got an idea in my head and I want to Africanize it and make it as African as possible, but I don't know where to start. Well, our fashion designer Vukulu Ndove is here to tell us more about what is currently trending. Vukulu, let's talk about the trends at the moment. It is wedding season. And perhaps you've already been working on quite a few dresses and working with brides. What are the current trends in terms of making us feel proud to be African? What are the trends that you are hearing at the moment and that you have to respond to when clients are getting in touch with you in this wedding season?
Okay, so in May, we had a dress that went viral. It went over like 1 million views on her page and also did very well on mine. There's a client who wanted a Xhosa dress, which was our second Xhosa dress. Because most of the times I'd make a lot of and share here and there and stuff like that. Because I'm told, right? So I got a Xhosa client who wanted like a Xhosa dress. She wanted the first one that I made. And on my way to meet her, God was like, you're not making that. This is the idea that I want you to establish, and it's going to make you trend and it's going to put your business out there. I didn't expect it to do so well. So we ended up making this Xhosa dress that went viral on TikTok, on Instagram as well, which is doing well since May till now. And people are just ordering it. So my brand is called Vukulu's Trends. The reason I call it Vukulu's Trends is because the trends, that everything that I make, when it trends, it's like it comes from really Vukulu's, swell of like idea or identity ideas. So like that's how we are pushing right now. So we're getting a lot of closer clients. So when we get a more, I'm just like going how it's moving this time, how the season is shifting. I'm shifting with it anyhow it is, in a way that as long as it's really growing the business and it's also making people feel more happy and comfortable in the a client disappointed, all of them when they come, they're blown away, they give us crazy tips. So it's really been going very well.
Let's talk about just serving the female customer. I would imagine that comes with so much, including the challenges. People come with their Pinterest boards and they want you to make them look like Queen Afua or something, or one of those queens from Zamunda in Coming to America. So let's talk about just the challenge in really trying to meet client expectation and also trying to build yourself as a business as well.
Okay. The challenges that we might have here and there is things like, for an example, providing to the clients, because the demand has been so high. So right now I'm starting to employ. And because of that dress that trended, we were not expecting that. So we have more people that are demanding things and stuff like that. We're even sending some of the stuff abroad because we are really demanded all over the world. It's crazy how it happens, but it is happening. But we rarely have challenges where the client comes in with an idea that we cannot execute. Whenever they come in with something that they really want, we make it happen. And I know how to break down things to clients in a way that they understand. So if the vision that they come with, if I feel like, oh, you know what, maybe for your body that won't work quite well. Let's go for something like this, maybe. So I suggest things based on body shapes and skin tones and stuff like that. So there's so many things that I consider before giving them a design or an idea that we might actually try out. So and they always are blown away when it's done. You know, that's why there's a designer. It's because you have to make sure that the client looks better than they expected. Yeah.
How involved are the men during these processes? When your male clients, when they come to you, either wedding season or for their own personal use, how involved are they during the creative process? And I ask this because as a guy, I don't see these colors and all these things. For me, it's like just make me look good. I don't have any specific creative. But how involved are the men that come through to you and request for your services, especially during this wedding season?
Yeah, most of the men that we make for are coming because maybe the wife wants something
Of course.
more, especially with the traditional line. And most of the times when they come in for measurements or consultation with their wives, because of how I speak, they end up being like, dude, we think just make me nice, just don't put too much color or something. But they let me do things for them, and it always works out greatly as well.
Oh, I love to hear it. And also that is a beautiful story because, you know, a marriage at the end of the day, yes, the women are more lean into the fashion a bit more than the masculines, but it's nice when they're both involved, even if it's just a little bit, you know, like Tebogo would
But
say,
also,
just make me look like a human being. But he's there, he's involved in the process, which makes it special. Yeah.
Yeah, some of them actually, they really are involved to a point where they'll bother you almost every day, wanting to know how's the shirt going. So it's a personal, it's subjective, but at the
Depends,
same
yeah.
time, yeah, just few guys who are like that, but we do get them.
I love
We do
it.
get them. We just want to know everything. So how is my wife gonna look, man? Please make her beautiful or this, that. Which colors? They want to know the colors. Can you show me something? What did you get at the fabric stores? Which other colors can you suggest to us? So that guys like that, they're just a bit of low number than women.
They're in the minority. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
It
they're
sounds
in the minority.
it really sounds like you're having such a good time, and what it clearly makes your job so easy, because fashion design presents so many challenges, is that you love people. You know, you love the
Yeah,
people that you are serving, and you really want to make them happy. So that's special. Okay, on that note of you loving people and really just loving what you are doing as well, talk to us about where you see the brand going, where do you see the Vukulu trend going. It's obviously now gone international, as you've noted, but where do you see the future? And we don't want to give a number of years, but just when you close your eyes, when you stare into a crystal ball, where do you see the brand going?
I think the biggest dream now, because this one happened so quickly. I mean, one thing I've learned about that dress is one piece of creativity can shift your trajectory of life. I mean, I didn't expect that piece. I mean, I'm still speechless till today of how it's doing. I mean, a week that dresses that go out are just a number of dresses.
We
of
need
the
to see
same
this
shape,
dress.
you know. You must see this dress for sure.
I need to see
Should
this
check it out.
dress.
Yeah, so like we see the brand going right now, because as sometimes I have I mean I had a dream of moving to the States and work there, but at the same time that is not working right now, because we are working international while being here. We are sending things abroad, and the other countries here in Africa, people are come. Some of the people are gonna fly in even next week to meet me for a consultation of some of the dresses. So it's really crazy how things are just shifting. But really, right now the focus is having stores. I think I should have stores at this point, because because of the way it's growing. I think we should have stores where people can just walk in and buy, because we can be very limited in terms of like making because when we put up something and it trends, everybody wants it. So making it every day and other things that people want, one thing that is a bit different, or that is just a personal preference, it can be very straining if there's no, if maybe one has to fly out to the UK tomorrow and they are demanding a dress tomorrow, it becomes a problem. So I think having stores here in South Africa for now, I don't know where yet, but like having stores around, that could be very helpful for people to access the stuff without worrying. And another thing, the beautiful thing about the corset dresses is they're controlled by straps at the back. So the whole pulling thing, so that those kind of outfits can fit so many people with different sizes. That's the beautiful part of the accommodation of our outfits. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So, Vukulu trends on social media. Hey, if we want to see the gorgeous dresses and make a booking.
Yeah, yes, it's a VUKULU, and then I think it's apostrophe, right? And then S. Vukulu's trends, yeah. And that's us on Instagram, on Facebook, and on TikTok.
Okay,
as
sounds
well.
great. Sounds great. I saw the dress. It's gorgeous. Oh my goodness, it's
Thank you so
beautiful.
much.
Yes, it's beautiful, and a beautiful
Yeah,
woman that you
thank you
dressed
so
as
much.
well. Thank you so much. Our
Yeah.
guest, Vukulu Ndove, talking all things fashion, dresses, corseteering, African style, and wedding season that we're acknowledging at this time. It is 3:30. We check in with the sports desk. Figile Lingwati is standing by with the latest before we close off for the show.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
We start off with cycling news. As Rwanda prepares to host the UCI Road World Championships from the 21st to the 28th of September, citizens have been urged to uphold the country's reputation for cleanliness, hospitality, discipline, and active participation in the cycling events. From cheering along race routes to maintaining smooth traffic and ensuring safety, everyone has a role to play in making this global event a success. The Director General in charge of communication, Emma Claudine Ntirenganya, made this call to action during an X Spaces discussion featuring key stakeholders. Ntirenganya emphasized the significance of Rwanda hosting this global cycling event, the first of its kind on the African continent, noting that the country was chosen due to its proven track record in hospitality and infrastructure readiness to host major sporting events. Now, Spa Proteas star Kamokhelo Masego has advised the baby Proteas to remain resilient and consistent as they look to make their mark in the upcoming Netball World Youth Cup in Gibraltar. The SA Under-21 team departed for London on Tuesday with a final series of warm-up matches scheduled before the 2025 World Cup campaign kicks off on the 19th of September in Gibraltar. Masego says coach Precious Mthembu's charges should enjoy every moment that comes with experiencing netball at the highest level.
Go out there and enjoy every moment. I think embrace the opportunity that you have been given to represent your country. So, fly the South African flag high. Embrace the fact that you are role models to young girls out there. And you're also literally a step away from being a Spa Protea, which is a senior player. So really ensure that you use this opportunity to also glorify God and to just, represent your country with the highest honor.
The 23-year-old goal attack also advised on how the baby Proteas can go all the way to the final come the 28th of September, highlighting the importance of consistency and resilience.
What will it take for them to find themselves in the final? I think what it will take for the baby Proteas to find themselves in the final is really, for me, consistency. If they can be consistent from the first game to the last, if they can be resilient, have that grit, to know that even when the going gets tough, they still need to focus on achieving and looking at the bigger goal.
On to golf news. The Pro-Co Championship signals the start of the FedEx Cup Fall Series, but Ryder Cup hype is taking over Silverado Resort this week as 10 U.S. team members compete in the event beginning in Napa, California. World number one Scotty Scheffler will play the tournament for the first time And he's joined by every American Ryder Cup player except Xander Schauffele and Live Golf's Bryson DeChambeau. US captain Keegan Bradley is on the scene too. He decided not to use one of his 6 captain's picks on himself, nor is he playing in the Pro Tour, yet he spoke at length to reporters about the task ahead of him before the competition against Team Europe at Bethpage Black on the 26th to the 28th of September. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Figile Lungwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Je, una jambo lolote akilini mwako? Je, una shauku kuhusu masuala muhimu? Na je, una maoni ambayo unataka yasikike? Kweli, hili jukwaa ni la kwako. Piga simu au tuandikie kwenda WhatsApp namba alama ya kujumulisha 2760552594 na tutakupigia simu.
Mtangazaji wa habari zetu za Afrika Kusini mjini Johannesburg.
Hivyo unaweza kuwa mshirika kwenye matangazo yetu. Sio mazungumzo tu, ni fursa yako ya kuchangia maoni yako na kushirikiana na jumuiya ya wasikilizaji wanaotamani mtazamo wako. Tufuate kwenye mitandao ya kijamii. Tembelea tovuti yetu www.channelafrica.co.za na uwe tayari kushiriki na kuchangia maoni yako kwenye Channel Africa. Channel Africa, mtazamo wa Kiafrika.
If it's news and current affairs, leading opinions, and thought leaders that get your groove, this is the home, the upside.
36 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African time. Let's get the final business news this afternoon. Nosipho Zuma is standing by.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Tebogo. Good afternoon. In your business news, the SAWA, the Nigerian tax bill that seeks to streamline compliance, broaden the tax base and boost revenue, is said to have generated widespread anger. Now, analysts say since the bill's announcement and removal of subsidies, there had been no measures in place to cushion Nigerians from headwinds. The bill that was signed in June will now take effect until January 2026. Organized Labour has given the government an ultimatum to cancel it or face industrial action. Public affairs analyst and media consultant Dr. Adani Ifitayo.
2 years ago, as soon as this current administration came into power, he announced that subsidy is gone and subsidy was gone, and we are still facing the impact, the effect, because there are no measures put in place to cushion the effect of the pains of subsidy removal. So coming out to say in January 2026, you want to remove, you want to add 5% fuel tax consumption, whatever it is untimely.
South Africa's power utility Eskom is embarking on a program aimed at disconnecting households that were illegally connected to the grid in the northwest province. They have already disconnected houses in some of the villages. However, residents say the houses in some of the areas that have been disconnected were connected by a company contracted to Eskom and that no irregularities were flagged then. Community representative Nzimeni Skoda elaborates.
Eskom should be held accountable for attempted murder. Why do I say that? There are diabetic people, there are people who are on machine of dialysis. Now, if you come and just cut, whether they are wrong or right, and what taps us as locals is that you'll see them. They are from Eskom. Now, whose responsibility? If there's
However, Eskom spokesperson Ezekiel Baruti says they are not backtracking on their decision.
These are customers who are not registered in Eskom. These are customers who approached contractors, either Eskom contractors or municipal contractors or Eskom employees or their own children to connect themselves. So in other words, they connected themselves to Eskom network without Eskom's permission.
Uganda's economy is expected to grow by an average 8% annually over the next 5 years. The growth is driven by investments in petroleum production and sectors such as transport. Now, according to the Finance Ministry, crude oil production expected to begin around mid-2026, will help push growth into double digits in the 2026-2027 fiscal year. The International Monetary Fund last year projected that oil production would lift Ugandan economic growth to double digits. Now, this is the first time the government has made a similar forecast. And finally, Switzerland is proposing that its gold industry builds a refinery in the United States or increases its processing capacity there. The proposal is part of a plan to reduce U.S. trade tariffs. On the 7th of August, President Donald Trump slapped 39% tariffs on Swiss goods imports due to the U.S. trade deficits with Switzerland, which scrapped its own industrial tariffs at the start of last year. Your financial indicators: $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 naira 508. In Botswana, it's 13 pula 25. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 42. And in Zambia, it's 24 kwacha 08. The BRICS countries: $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 42. Russia is 84 rubles 33. India is 88 rupees 10. China at 7 yuan 12. And in South Africa, $1 is trading at 17 rand 51. $1 is trading at 74 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,632 and platinum at $1,381 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil is at $67.37 a barrel. Now, for any business news stories you would like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I'm Mosito Suma.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Africa. It's time to plug into the heartbeat of the continent. Tune in to Channel Africa, your go-to radio station that broadcasts in 5 different languages.
L'Afrique du Sud célèbre la journée nationale du
Kabla hujaitwa kwa jina la Double K,
or more of our forests have been destroyed.
Tamo kutulibwanji ndi
Partido Africano da Independência da Guiné.
See, Channel Africa represents every corner of this amazing land. From Lagos to Cape Town, Nairobi to Dakar, we've got you covered with the freshest news, music, and cultures. So, turn up the volume, feel the rhythm. And join the conversation. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Get Channel Africa on DSTV Audio Bouquet. Channel 802.
Phuma nankosi ndiyaphuma ndifihle kwingozi nentsha nayo yonke imimoya thatha indawo njengosomandla sindisa impilo yami kwababantu abalunganga kuba namhlanje ndibonile uba silwe nenyama silwa nemimoya namhlanje ndibonile uba asilwe nabantu thina silwa nemimoya asilwe nabantu thina asilwe nabantu thina silwa nemimoya asilwe nabantu thina asilwe nabantu thina silwa nemimoya silwa nemimoya silwa zibanjwe moyeni ezimfazwe sizibonileyo aziqali namhlanje ziqale emoyeni ngoba emoyeni kuyaliwa emoyeni 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 kuyaliwa asilwi nabantu asilwi nabantu thina silwane mimoya asilwi nabantu thina silwane mimoya 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 silwane mimoya. Silwane mimoya, 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 silwane mimoya.
The Upside with Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mosito, bringing Africa's voices to the world. On Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Butterfly for my belly, you giving me energy. I don't dey lose my composure, come me losing control, giving me more than I need. Everything where you carry for body, even if what I carry me pepe. No fit to revise you my oreke, my reading my blues, my activity your reading from Monday to Sunday. Say you be my goal, as you and everything I go do for my pepe. My reading my blues, my activity your reading from Monday to Sunday. Say you be my goal, yeah, and everything I go do for my pepe. My chicken, my muse, everything my pepe. My reading my blues, so many things you did do, nobody do me like you do. My chicken, my muse, everything my pepe. My reading my blues, so many things you did do, nobody no fit carry you play, I fit to lose. Carry my love, put it all on you, and I get the money for two. Over my retina when you come through. Now you be my personal person. Forget it, that I need blessing. Other guys, you don't teach me lesson. Say not only you ain't no distress. Personal person, my jigger, my muse. Everything, my baby. My reading, my blue. So many things you did do, nobody do me like you do. My jigger, my muse. Everything, my baby. My reading, my blue. So many things you did do, nobody do me like you do. Carry you for my head, my shoulder. Back up on you, my knees and toes. Now you dey hide me, I don't want sober. Nobody do me like you do. Carry you for my head, my shoulder. Back up on you, my knees and toes. Now you dey hide me, I don't want sober. Nobody do me like you do. My baby. Nobody do me like you do. Baby, nobody do me like you do.
Rhythm and Blues by Ira Star. Before that, we had Imimoya by Nati. Says we are not fighting against people. Our battle is not against flesh, man. It's spirits, it's entities. Can we apply that in real life though? Because it's one thing to hear it, But applying it is a different thing, because you always think, no, man, that person is attacking me. That person has something against me. And it's not the person.
It's
It's
not
just
the person.
principalities behind. But putting it into practice, that's a different conversation.
Yeah, people have anxieties, they have fears, but also it goes back to exactly what you and Nati are saying, that it is really wars against spirit and not necessarily the situation that's ongoing. Okay, that's my piece around that. Let's look at TikTok.
TikTok.
Yes, TikTok.
Yes. So we're going to take a quick breather. When we get
Right.
back, we're going to share some of the comments we received. Apparently, our video has gone viral yesterday during What Caught Your Eye. We were telling the tragic story of Constable, I think it's Tapelo, who held his family hostage for over 16 hours. He held his mother hostage and his nephew hostage, and ended tragically. He took his own life. He had shot the nephew as well, who didn't make it. And it was all because he found out that he had been raising a child that did not belong to him, but instead belonged to his brother. We'll be reading some of those comments right after this.
This September, Channel Africa celebrates Heritage Month, a time to honor the stories, the rhythms, and the languages that make us who we are. Whether you're in Lagos or the shores of Zanzibar, to the mountains of Lesotho or the markets of Dakar, we are united in diversity.
Najivunia kuwa Mwafrika.
Kukondolera Afrika ndiye ndoto yake.
Proudly African and fabulous.
Let us preserve our languages. Let's embrace our uniqueness. Let's embrace our culture and celebrate the beauty of our continent. Channel Africa, the African perspective. This Heritage Month, we honor the beauty of our differences and the strength of our cultures. Listen to Channel Africa on satellite channel PAS 10.
9 minutes before 4 p.m. Central African Time. Let's read some of your comments on social media, on our TikTok account. Yesterday we had What Caught Your Eye, and we were sharing the tragic story of Constable Tapelo Mashiko, and quite a few comments came through from that video, and we're going to be reading some of them. There's one here that I saw. May Tapelo Mashiko's soul rest in peace. His own family betrayed him. It's just painful. That was J_D116.
Because doing...
And then I saw Ubuitumelo, Gladness 11, saying here, you know, people who are working for the government are going through a lot in life. I really wish that we could have debriefing in our workplace. We are going through so much. R.I.P. Tapelo.
Yeah, some of these comments. I'm going to read one that actually stood out for me as well. Kulani Waka Shibambu says, it's not that police are not equipped. I believe they tried everything possible to save the situation, but I believe police officers need a lot of training on anger management and psychologists services to work on their mental state consistently. And she goes on to say, anger is something else. It can make you do things, hey? So I think she's got a big point, or good point rather, in terms of just how we manage emotion. And we're human beings, you know, a lot of the time we're just expected to leave your problems at the door. You come to the workplace, you must be a different person, and that mentality is really just outdated. You've got to bring all of who you are. Yes, be professional and contribute and do what you're getting paid to do, but also you are a person. You can't leave your nose in the car. You take it with you. If that makes sense.
100%. But this is exactly why human resources is what it's called today. It's called human resources. There was a time when, during the industrial era, where you just had a quota. That's all you had. You had a quota. You had to make X amount of spanners or whatever the case may be, and you knocked off. It didn't care about your well-being. It was just about the quota, meeting the quota. Then they adjusted through the years. At some point, it became about, how about your feelings? Oh, how do you feel today? You don't feel good? Okay, don't want to work? Don't want to work? Okay, it's okay. Don't go up to work. And it didn't really, fare well there. And that's why they brought in the whole human resource to say, okay, we can still have targets, but still consider you, yes, as a human being and understand that you go through certain things. And we need to be sensitive to that. Uniki here on TikTok says, the courts perpetuate crime by women against men. Why courts are saying a woman can refuse a man DNA testing? Toyando High Court has done it. And then someone responded, B.Liu said, but who denied who a DNA in this story, Mara? Actually, we don't even know if Utapelo had ever asked for DNA.
Yeah, we don't know those details.
Because maybe he just didn't have, there was no reason for him to even think that I'm being lied to.
Yeah,
this
he
is not my
hadn't gone
child.
there.
Hey, we don't
Mentally,
know. Yeah, we don't know.
yeah.
We don't know
And otherwise.
the full story there. And then we have Itumaitis. I think they're going through a lot and medical, so they don't take care of them. I know 6 police officers who committed suicide in 1 year, including my brother. So, going through a lot. These were some of the comments that we had received on yesterday's story. If you'd like to chime in on that conversation, check us out on @ChannelAfrica1 on TikTok. The video is still there if you'd like to interact with it, and we'll respond as well to some of these comments. All right, it's 5 minutes before 4 p.m. Central African Time. Let's listen to some music before we have to hand over to the Queen of Africa in business. It is 8 minutes before 4 p.m. Central African Time. The Kabuka Oriental Choir. The song's name is So So. That's how we wrap up our Upside this afternoon. And I tell you what, we are sitting next to a queen here, because her name is Queen Tami Ngubeni. Africa in Business
Please
is
stop
coming
throwing
up.
money in this direction.
I don't know if I put enough. That's the only thing.
Right.
Because I've got to keep this up.
Can we actually afford him?
Can I actually afford him? And can I keep it up? Because once I start, I've got to keep this up. And I don't know if I'm the Queen of Zamunda or what. But reminds me of the woman in a bus who turns to Eddie Murphy and says, If you're really a prince, I'll marry you.
That seems so beautiful. Oh my goodness.
Good afternoon, Tammy. What's coming up on the show this afternoon?
Really serious stuff. We're talking business. And as we do every single Thursday, we focus on the G20.
Yes.
And you know how oftentimes we look at immigration as the bane of our existence, at least many countries do. But within the G20 framework, there is an initiative titled the I-20, which is the Immigration 20. And it seeks to position immigration as a catalyst for economic growth, for social cohesion and development. So we're going to be focusing on that this afternoon in our G20 feature. And as we do every single Thursday as well, we have amazing individuals who are achievers that we feature in
business in Africa. Tammy Ngubeni. It is 4 p.m. in Central African time, and this is our cue to bid you farewell. We'll be back again between 1 and 4 tomorrow afternoon. Have a pleasant rest of the afternoon. channelafrica.co.za. Keep it locked right here. And also, we're available on satellite, just by the way. Have a good one. Cheers.